Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We are back for a very special catch-up Sunday edition of Woo Woo, and we have a very special guest. Not only do I have the master of the esoteric himself, Salty Traveling C, great to see you. We have with us today, we have Dino from the Late Late Horror Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Hey, Salty, Purple, what's going on?
Hey, Dino. I know you and I were trading messages last night going, what the hell is going on? And we've got to track this thing and we've got to find out what's going on. I woke up this morning thinking like, all right, they would have resolved it. No, all morning long. We've been tracking jets being scrambled, things going on over the Great Lakes, and we're getting into it. And thank you to Purple Valkyrie for setting this up. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you for doing that live stream last night. Had a fantastic discussion, I think, and not only between us, but with the chat as well. So thank you guys for joining us. But as Salty correctly said, we woke up this morning, we weren't sure what was going on, whether everything would have blown over, whether it was going to be a calm Sunday, and the only exciting thing was going to be the Super Bowl, but that wasn't the case, was it?
Yeah, it started right early this morning, and I don't know, Dino, if you were following it as obsessively as I was. Again, on social media, I was going to a couple different sites, Disclose TV, as well as Raw Alerts, and it started out first thing this morning with them starting to close airspace over Lake Michigan, and then launching fighters from Marionette, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, Gary, Indiana. Yeah. Purple's pulling up the flight data here, and this is the most accurate that we have at this point. Go ahead, Purple. I know you got some story for this.
Let me give you a breakdown. So this is actually the only one that I can get, because the second one that was over Lake Huron has actually been taken down in the last couple of minutes. But this one, as you can see, it shows the flight pattern of the one that was over Lake Michigan, circled for a very, very long time, and now has since returned back. But the other one then returned down to Pittsburgh, but it followed a very similar flight pattern. It did laps all the way around this lake, and also over here as well, before it returned back to the from whence it came. But it's kind of fascinating, and I've never seen these before. It's very interesting to see flight patterns in real time.
Yeah, the stuff on station is interesting. I mean, again, we know where fighters were launched from. Some of these were USAF. Some of them were presumably naval assets as well. But the really big thing is this thing slow rolled all day until, and I forget, Purple, how long ago it was it? I'm looking at it now. I saw... I'm checking for the most recent updates we got right now.
Yes, well, we're waiting for a official statement to come. That was the next thing. There was supposed to be a briefing, which hasn't happened yet. There has been a statement, I believe, that's been circulated saying that because we've had so many of these events so quickly, the only thing that they've ruled out is that it's extraterrestrial. Well, of course.
Yeah. Let me share this with you. This is the latest news from Zero Hedge. It is one of the only websites that I actually trust. It is an economic. These are statements formally that were released. The latest is an object was in fact shot down. Another one, the fourth in the last week, and I'd say probably the third in the last 24 hours, including what was done in Canada. But this was the same object that they said didn't exist last night. It was a radar anomaly that was first detected over Montana. Now, the United States did not assess the latest object to be a military threat to anything on the ground for some reason, but a senior U.S. official says the object shot down was, and this is where things get weird, an octagonal structure, but no discernible payload. Still no word on when this Pentagon update is going to occur, but this is the world we live in. An interesting 24 hours, isn't it, guys?
It is, and let me just say hey to the chat as well, because we've got some great people with us. We've got Leah Rose, who said she's in Indiana. Good to see you, honey. We've got Psycho Dwarf, hello there. From the UK, we've got Pod Racing Palpatine, great to see you, good evening. We've got Creepy Little Book, hello there, good to see you. And we've got says, I need a summary. All I have is the mainstream Bloom thing.
I'm not trying. I know. Do you know? I mean, like, so Purple and I did a live last night covering it as it happened. It was about an hour and a half. Long story short, we all know what happened, what was shot down over the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I think it was, what was it, Dino? Like on the 4th or whatever?
The 4th, yeah. The spy balloon.
Flash forward a week later, there was something shot down over Prudhoe Bay in northern Alaska, way up in the Arctic Circle. The Canadians Air Force shot down something over the Yukon. We're observing something else, and then another something was observed over Montana that also potentially was shot down, but there was yet another second thing that was over Montana, which they said they couldn't do anything about because it was dark last night.
Yeah.
So it drifted from northeastern Montana, like I said it would, over our missile silos and stuff in North Dakota, over the extremely low frequency, it's a long story, but it's the ELF transmitter that uses the Earth as an antenna to transmit signals to our nuclear attack subs. That is in northern Minnesota, and then drifted across northern Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to end up in Michigan. And then I guess somebody decided to do something about it, and here we are. So,
listen, the one on the 9th, it was coming into land and then taking off, so they didn't immediately shoot this thing down. They waited till it got up towards the Arctic there before they ended up shooting it down. So it's very crazy. I think there's a lot of scrambling going on between governments because we've got Canada, us. They're throwing out all kinds of disinformation. Is it true? Isn't it true? Is China involved? There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts with all of this stuff. But I think this is going to be a big story that they're trying to cover up right now that couldn't be involving a couple different things. And we could talk about that later, and you guys can get into it. You guys will be talking about this all week, I'm sure. But I think this is something dealing with actual UFOs or
UAPs.
Yes, UAPs, the new word for everything. So I think this is big, man. I think this is really big. I've been going down a rabbit hole. There are so many UFO sightings within the last week alone that are kind of corroborate. Go down the rabbit hole. Start typing in your computer, you guys, and see what comes up. You guys will be amazed.
Yeah. You're not wrong. And the other thing is, it was about a week ago, I shared the video of that thing that was hail the brightest day. Good guy. I'll be reaching out to you to do some voice stuff about the package you sent me. But I recorded my own video of this, something coming over the horizon of the Pacific, because I live way, 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 way in the far middle of nowhere on the Pacific, not California, up in Washington State. And I can see British Columbia from where I am. Something was coming over the horizon. And I've said this before, from the west, and you can tell that because it follows the curvature of the Earth, and it's got this huge contrail. But long story short, when China launches rockets, you can always tell because they burn kerosene propellant, not the clean stuff that we do. So their exhaust is black. It looks like something out of the Book of Revelations, if you're into that kind of thing. This was different. And so what this was is there's something coming over at a very high altitude, really, really fast, hypersonic. And I caught it on video, and I caught the profile of what it was as it crossed into American airspace. Because I'm like, what the hell is coming from presumably China crossing into the United States? And as we were able to look at, and I can share it if the chat wants it, we can look at the video again. This appears to be the SR-72 Dark Star surveillance hypersonic vehicle that we have. It replaced the SR-71. A lot of us from the 80s remember what that was, but this thing is badass. It looks kind of like Michael Keaton's Batmobile, only it's a hypersonic high atmosphere jet. It's a really cool thing. But all this stuff that happened a week ago when all this other stuff was going on. Now, is there a correlation? Maybe. Is it all just a coincidence? Maybe. But as Dino, as you're saying, dude, something's getting ready to happen. What it is, we don't know. But why we're talking about it is we want you to tell us what you think and where you're coming from on this. And that's why, Dino, I'm so excited you're here, because Purple and I have heard each other talk quite a bit. So I'd love to get some of your takes on some of this stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And let me say hey to the chat as well. We've got Ruben Christopher Haynes, great to see you. We've got TZ Burton, hello, good to see you. So Salty, I'm in the Seattle area as well. And would like to see the footage if you've got that to share. That would be great.
All right, I'll pull it up. Let me just shout out to TZ Burton. Yeah, I'm out toward, I don't care. I'm in Port Angeles, place that I love. Tiny little coastal thing, middle of nowhere, and that's why I like it. Mountains right there, ocean right there. And if you walk too far that way, you end up in the water and got to swim 18 miles to Victoria. So.
And let me say hello and welcome to C. Mitchell. Great to see you. Says I was just over at Salty Traveling Sea and thought I'd check out Purple Valkyrie. Welcome. Good to see you. I have fallen down a rabbit hole. Someone mentioned shot down off the coast of NC.
North Carolina. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I thought initially that it was off the coast of North Carolina because they mentioned Ocracoke. Yeah, but I thought it was off North Carolina because it looked like it was near Cherry Point, which is where a Marine Corps base is, and they were talking about Ocracoke, which is in North Carolina. So it's right on that border, you know. So it's South Carolina, North Carolina. My mistake. I used to live in North Carolina for 10 years. So
this is what we're talking about.
In the Carolinas, you know,
because it's such a fast-moving, developing story, and we've also had reports of today, this morning, that China themselves have said that they've got a balloon that they've shot down or about to shoot down, which supposedly has American technology on board. Now, is this true? Is this tit for tat? We don't know. That's the problem. Yeah.
We do have footage of what the Chinese shot down, which is just that's what's so crazy about this is there are so many damn things that are happening right now. It doesn't make any sense. We're also getting even more photos of other things that seem to be structures that are flying by. And it's hard to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. But I'm going to let you talk about this, Purple. I'm going to go and try and dig up that photo in the video that I have.
I think that's what's going to end up being so difficult here, because the day and age we're living in right now is that people are posting everything. I mean, even the Roswell incident, we got, fake pictures of, somebody standing here, the weather balloon, this and that. Nowadays, they're getting it out there right away. So disinformation, I mean, it's just all over the place right now. You don't know what picture to believe in. You don't know what's really going on. I mean, it's so easy. And like you said, tit for tat. We get a photo from our government, and then we get a photo now from them. And it's like, okay, you're just popping stuff. I don't know how deep you guys want to go. We can go as far out as you guys are crazy. You think aliens are here right now, causing a ruckus. It's a possibility. It's one possibility. Like I said, if you go down the rabbit hole and look at everything that's going on in our skies right now, reports, things we're seeing, are governments taking advantage of this? Is there a possibility that stuff like that is going on right now with China? I mean, it could be the train derailment in Ohio.
Exactly, which is a huge story, which seems to have been kind of swept under the rug at the moment. Yeah, and Salty did a really good video of it about that just a little while ago today.
Yep.
You're absolutely right, going down the rabbit hole. I mean, if you've opened up Twitter at all today, what's been trending? It's UFOs, UAPs, UFO Twitter, balloons, disinformation, and it just goes on and on and on. So whatever this is, it has caught people's attention for better or for worse.
No, you're right. And I think it's just, it's too new. I think governments and whatever other agencies, they're just throwing stuff out right now, and they're scrambling. And they're making us try to put it all together, and we're trying, but it's like a needle in a haystack at this point in time. That's why I think down the road, who knows how long, we're going to find out. This was a point in history where some things really went down, in my opinion.
Yeah, not all of them for the good of humanity.
No.
We're kind of learning. Purple, I am sharing the still image of this. I do have video of this, but this is the important part. This also was enhanced. Enhanced meaning I cleaned out the noise and went to black and white so you can pick it out easier. Now, this was in an extraordinarily high altitude, and it was flying really damn fast. We talked about it on a live show before. This was not over where commercial jets fly. This was not, this thing was higher than I've ever seen a plane. It was hauling ass. And I could see it coming all the way over the horizon from the Pacific. Now, if you look at the profile of this plane, it almost looks like look at it. This does not look, it looks like the plane is flying backwards. But when you look at the profile of the the SR-72, which I can pull up, it's almost a perfect match. And I was joking that.
Yes. And it was the speed that caught your attention, wasn't it?
I thought it was a rocket launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a rocket launch from China because I've seen them before. You know, you look at that picture there, and I will bring this image up. Look at the profile of that, and I will share what this is. All right, I got too many things open. Bear with me. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to reply to a TZ said, you'd love the Pacific Northwest purple. The Olympic Peninsula and Vancouver Island are beautiful.
It's true.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes. So this is, if you look at what I had, and I don't know if I can't share both screens, but this was presumably what was flying overhead. And that was about the same time as the crazy stuff with the balloon that got shot down on February 4th. And I have not seen one of these since then. I mean, what are the odds you're going to see a high altitude surveillance, secret surveillance thing just flying across the Pacific? I was out on the beach, again, on the Strait of San Juan de Fuca out here looking at Vancouver Island, looked west and saw what I thought was, again, a rocket contrail from China, watched it approaching the continental United States, wondering if this was the day everything goes boom. And really, it was presumably one of our stealth aircraft. But this was going on at the same time, this other crazy stuff that we're seeing. And as we've learned today, shooting down octagonal UFOs over the Great Lakes.
That's the other thing that I wanted to put to you guys. Now, we've seen, and they've been called balloons since this first started. What's changed in the past 24 hours that they're no longer calling them balloons, or no longer saying that they're attached to balloons? They're just calling them objects or UFOs or canisters, I think they were called as well.
Well, what's the first thing they always want to go to, right? Is the spy balloon. That's the first thing they always want to go to. It's the easiest. I hate to say it, but if you talk to the majority, you go on CNN, Fox News, whatever, you're 90% of the people you're talking to will believe that. No matter how dumb the story sounds, they're going to believe it. They go, oh yeah, look at spies. Let's change over to something else. So you got a small percentage of people who are going,
yeah,
I'm not so sure. So.
Yeah, the question, I mean, we talked about it on the video that I did earlier today, and not everybody has to feel this way, is I tuned out on mainstream media about 2 weeks after Obama got elected for very good reasons. And I was a lifelong Democrat. And I took the red pill because I couldn't believe what was being said by somebody that completely changed the story of what he said he was going to do. I wish I would have came to that conclusion earlier, but I did. It was whenever the hell it was, 2009, 2008, whatever it was, 2010.
A while ago.
It's a while ago. And since then, I have been red pilled as an MFer, you know what I mean? And going to all the sites and everything else like that, because what the story I was being told didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And we've had a lot of that since November 3rd, 2020, haven't we? And even March of 2020 with 2 weeks to slow the spread. We know we know what they're going to do. They tell us all the time, a guy named Klaus, a guy named Bill, you know, the stuff they do in Davos. It's not, I'm not saying this. Purple's not saying this. Dino's not saying this. These people are saying this, and we're simply telling you this is what they said. Okay.
Just passing on the information. Exactly.
Yeah.
But let me just share this because it gives a really good kind of visual of what we're talking about in the last 24 hours. So 3 suspicious objects have been downed across North America this week. Officials have no idea where 2 of the OAPs came from, and the pilots who shot them down can't even agree on what they look like. But this gives you a visual of what we're talking about. So
yeah.
So the original one that we had drifted all the way across, as you guys know,
our missile
all
silos,
the way down here, and
all
finally
of our
got
missile
taken out.
silos. Yep.
And then we've got the second sighting on Saturday, and then we've got the one on Friday, and the ones that we're talking about. And since then, we've also had the ones over the Great Lakes as well.
So the one on Friday, that was a shoot down. The one that's up there, the U.S. Air Force shot that down. The second thing in the Yukon, that there was something shot down by the Canadian Air Force, but yet there was still another object that's floating around Canada, which we don't know what the hell happened to. The second sighting on Saturday on your graph was the one that they said they couldn't take care of because it was dark outside.
Yes.
And then initially
these objects, yeah,
like we can't. It's dark. What do you expect us to do? You know what I mean? But then we got conflicting reports, and we covered this live where NORAD or NORCOM said it was just a radar anomaly. But then we have the state senator from the great state of Montana who was in contact with NORAD saying, no, it's not an anomaly. It's actually an object. And then it disappeared. And then we woke up today and all kinds of holy hell is breaking loose, and they shot something down over Lake Huron. So that's where we're at. You know?
So when we say that this is fast moving and that there are multiple lines of inquiry, we really do mean it's almost kind of baffling to try and keep a hold of it, but we are doing our best, most certainly. But I find it fascinating just how quickly this has developed in the past 48 hours.
Yeah, I think the next big step really is to, I don't know when we would get those, but pictures something of the downed objects, and are we going to get that? And when we do, what are they going to look like? I mean,
well, here's the thing. We did get what, in my opinion, are staged photographs of the United States Coast Guard hauling in a balloon or a parachute. It looks like a parachute, presumably off the waters of South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever the initial one was shot down. But that's it. It was a really well-staged photograph.
Oh, yeah. That was a picture from 2019. They've been holding on to that.
Yeah, seriously. But one thing we haven't seen, I mean, we got images of what was a huge balloon. And this was described by the media that the payload that it was carrying, and it looked like an old Erector set, was the size of a jumbo jet. Okay, that's a lot of effing debris. Okay, that's a really big balloon that can haul in that big of a payload across the country, and supposedly we can't see it, and we're just letting it happen.
We see everything. Don't let them fool you. But they can say it. Like I said, it's a shame that we're kind of. Listen, I'm not putting the people down, but a lot of people just don't want to hear about it. Don't believe it. It's the way we're raised. It's in our DNA. Whatever. You know what I mean? We're living our lives, but it's easy to go out there and just live your life and go, it's a bunch of BS, and they can easily just say whatever they want to say. And believe me, we've got history to prove that wrong, right? I mean, again, going back to Roswell, but there's many incidents all the way in between that aren't UFO related, but that have been covered up, or cover-ups, conspiracy theories. And they really happened. But 90% of the population does not believe it.
Sorry. The Pentagon just started their briefing. Didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm listening in the background. So you guys go ahead.
Awesome. We've got a question from it says, how high up are these things? Well, the first one, if I remember correctly, was around about 60,000 feet. The others have been lower. I think one was very low at 20,000 feet, which is low enough to interfere with flight patterns of planes. But we've also obviously yesterday had reports of them closing down certain sections of, and then reopening up, especially in Montana. We had that 50 by 50 square section that they closed down for about an hour, and then they opened it back up once they lost sight of whatever it was that was there.
Yeah,
because it was dark.
Yeah, let me give you an update on the press conference. This is there's security officials talking right now at the Super Bowl. What?
Okay.
At what point do we all just go, with all of the globalist logos behind them, okay, like Coca-Cola, Adidas, and all, it's just like, but apparently they're addressing the security concerns around the Super Bowl, but they are going to answer questions later. The Pentagon briefing itself appears to still be delayed even further. It was supposed to have started 30 minutes ago related to this. So apparently they feel like the Super Bowl security questions are more important than talking about what the hell we just shot down on Lake Huron. Let me address this. What were the altitudes of these different objects? Well, they were different in different places. The one up in Alaska was around 60,000 feet, higher than commercial jetliners fly. Most commercial jetliners are anywhere between 30, 40 something thousand feet in the air. Okay. The one over, I believe over the Yukon was lower. I think that was around a commercial jet pathways. Now, there are a fair amount of flights that go from Seattle over the North Pole to get to Europe. So that's kind of a concern. And then not to mention, you've got the Yukon. Now, there's a lot of interesting things in the Yukon. I've been in the Yukon. That's a whole other show. A lot of natural resources, too. Now, this other thing that was going on in Montana, that one also appeared. That one, they said, appeared to be conflicting with commercial flight paths. So that would put it between 40-something and 30,000 feet, which is why they were going to blow it up. And then it got dark, and their mom said they had to come home, and they couldn't do anything about it last night. So that's where we're at. But yeah, right now, the NHS, Department of Hapless Security, homeless security, Homeland Security is now briefing on the ever so important security procedures for Beyonce at the Super Bowl. So that's where we're at right now. Thanks for letting me just stumble around in there. So yeah.
Appreciate it. We've got Geek Flag with Nate Knows 1973 to see. It says, what if the Chinese spy balloon was just a distraction from this incident that they knew was coming? Well, we've discussed that as well, and that's again that's going into speculation. Is this what is known as a false flag? Is this a distraction for something bigger, or is this trying to cover up something that they don't want as a collective attention focused on?
Well, again, the rabbit hole is really deep, and you can say, are they taking advantage? Well said, Geek Flag, but are they taking advantage, or I'm going to stop there. I don't know. I
want to hear what you think, because we've actually avoided doing that because this was fast moving. I will say that I just heard that they are closing the airspace down around the Super Bowl itself, which is pretty normal. Yeah. It's just interesting on a day like today that they're outlining that. So please speculate away, Dino. Dino, please do it. Oh, he has his own woo-woo show. And he and I have talked about working together for a while, but I want to hear what Dino has to say.
Listen, people are going to listen to me and go, you're crazy. But how deep does it go? And this is speculation. It's speculation. Are we working with extraterrestrials out there, government-wise? Is Chinese involved with a species of alien race that they are taking the opportunity to take to do, like this whole Ohio thing? It's kind of freaking me out a bit. I'm in Ohio. Are they? Is there kind of this thing where they're working in conjunction with each other, and what's going on like in Ohio and who knows where else? Yeah. And the extraterrestrials are distracting by these sightings, these getting shot down. Evading if they're getting shot down. Listen, Nothing's been recovered yet, but again, it depends, Salty Purple, how deep you want to go down this hole.
I know.
That's just one little part of what could be going on. I don't know.
Dude, you hit on something, okay? They announced about a year and a half ago that China was building the world's largest fusion reactor. Now, fusion energy has been the holy grail of nuclear power because it does not produce the radioactive byproduct of fission. Fission reaction is dirty. That's why we have those things that are buried in the deserts of the Southwest, supposedly are going to be fine. But it's going to take tens and tens of thousands of years before anybody can go near that stuff. Okay? Yeah. Fusion doesn't do that. What it requires, though, theoretically, is something called helium-3. Now, we've known about this since the manned missions to the moon. What does the moon have a lot of? Helium-3. Now, where the hell did the Chinese come up with the tech to build the world's largest fission reactor, which, in their words, is going to burn hotter than the sun in our solar system? And we're sitting here, and we pay, what do we get? We can't use gas stoves? I mean, like, what is going on? You know what I mean? So did aliens give the Chinese that? I don't know. I'm just saying, where the hell did they come from? Now, if you don't think, and this is my opinion, but I do have some experience in this. I'm just going to say that. If you don't think that all of our international science and defense and all these other things are not absolutely infiltrated by people from that country, you would be very, very wrong. Okay. Right. And I'm just going to stop right there. Yeah. They just reported that balloon that they shot down over South Carolina or North Carolina, where it was, that it had United States surveillance tech on it. Where do you think it came from?
Well, yeah, exactly. And if that's the case, if that's actually a balloon, which it probably is, distraction.
Right on, dude. Right on, brightest, dude. Yeah, bullshitium. It's better than unobtainium. The trans blue avatar, whatever the hell those damn things are called. Yeah,
but yeah. A real tiny thing with what I was saying there too. If you think I'm crazy, just go back and listen to a lot of the older astronauts, people in the military who have passed on, who in their deathbed have given sworn statements that, listen, we were working with extraterrestrial life. Philip Corso alone, technology that wasn't ours, they gave to us. We now manufacture things. Listen, we went in 100 years, we went from
horse and
hardly any electricity, anything like that, to everything could be done on a little phone.
And
now.
We're still 100 years behind where we actually should be because of the patents being suppressed.
Yeah. And what they did to Tesla. And I made this joke before, but does anybody remember the part where you get to plug a little pad into the wall and then you don't plug your phone in, and then miraculously it uses waves to charge a battery without a connection?
Tesla.
You know who did that? Tesla. I mean, again, this is not crazy rabid woo-woo. It's not at all. Tesla proved these things, and it was the findings, I believe, of ancient technology, which we have had before.
Yes.
Okay? And it's like this cat stumbled across it, and literally there are Russian scientists, and whatever, my Russia, all this other bullshit. You can prove this. And it's essentially, if you've watched some of the other stuff, the UFO stuff that's out there, this technology has existed. I mean, generally, whatever tech the military has, we don't get for 20 to 30 years afterwards. Right. I don't know. I get really upset because imagine where we would be as a species, with zero-sum clean energy, with the ability to grow our own food, without these needless wars being run by profiteering military-industrial complex, without sociopath billionaires who didn't graduate college telling us what we need to inject into our bodies. With people creating Frankenstein meat, with people trying to destroy our ability to grow food, to track and control everything that we do. Imagine if they just left us the F alone, what we could do. you know? And that's where I need to shut up, because then I'm just going to get really pissed off.
No, I know. Listen, I'm angry too about all that. We took a wrong turn somewhere down the line, and we let people have control over us, and
Yeah.
look where we're at today. So
Yeah. JFK, that's all I'm going to say. JFK wanted to do a couple different things. Remember, and I said this last night, there was a famous speech by Eisenhower, who is a famous general from World War II, who became president of the United States. And when he was leaving office, he did the famous speech of, beware of the military-industrial complex. Well, who was the very next president to come along after Eisenhower? That would be John Kennedy. What happened to John Kennedy? Well, he didn't want to go into Vietnam. And he also wanted to put the United States on something called the silver standard. You can still find in collector shops dollar bills in 20, 30, like 20, 50, $100 bills that have red ink on them, and they're called silver certificates. You could walk into a bank with a $20 bill, and the bank would give you $20 worth of physical silver. Well, that doesn't really work if you're a bunch of globalists and want to control everything, does it? So, Johnny, why don't you take a ride in this topless car? And we'll take care of the rest. Now here we are, Sorry.
No, but that's it. And back in the day, and even a very short while ago, this would have all been way out there as conspiracy theories. But is this really a conspiracy theory when we've been told this is what is going to happen? This is where we are heading as a species. This is what the people in charge have planned for us. I don't think so. And let me say hey to Jacob Ironside, great to see you, says, when you fall down a rabbit hole, be careful you don't dirty your white puffy tail. Wise words.
Huh. White puffy tail, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. So
anything's possible.
See if that's a code.
You're not going to believe this, but they're still talking about the strong strategic partnerships they have for the Super Bowl. They've got every mid-level DHS wonk just talking about how you can't fly drones, and remember to have your cell phone charged because everything needs a QRT code, because you need to be shipped and you need to eat bugs. And it's like everybody's just going along with this. Everybody's going along with
this is standard play. What's the big thing coming up right now? The world is going to be watching the Super Bowl. So what's going on right now that we see in the past 4 days, couple weeks, whatever you want to think. Let's focus on the Super Bowl. A bunch of guys in the room. Let's focus on the Super Bowl. We can have somebody talking, briefing, hours. Eventually, they're going to forget about all this stuff. So that's what's going on. Standard play.
Yeah. The alien invasion brought to you by Coca-Cola and Nike, strong supporter of trans kids. That's the world we live in, man. Jesus Christ.
So let me give a shout out to Ryan God. Good to see you. Says, glad I was finally able to make it and catch this. The Salty Sea with a banger as soon as I tune in.
Yeah. I'm a lunatic, but I'm telling it from the heart. You know what I mean? And I've never said my way is the only way. I just, please think for yourself. Please do some research on this stuff.
Right.
What we talked about that's going on in Ohio. Dino, I don't know if you watched that, but I've got our friend Nathan is actually near Akron. Yep. And, he didn't really know about what was going on either. And again, they deliberately blew this thing up and released raw PVC. It blew it up, and you could see it from space. The problem is raw PVC is a huge carcinogen, and it's killing everything around there, soaking into the groundwater, getting into the Ohio River.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
And they're quickly covering that up the best they can. You're not finding a whole lot on it. Pictures are being taken down. Listen, when you can control everything on the internet, stuff is taken down all the time, and I'll stop there too, because there's things that got me. Yeah, dude,
you're in the right. You're among friends, dude. There's no judgment.
I know.
There's the dude. That's why we're here. We both like to cover ancient civilizations. We like to cover weird findings. Never tell people what to think. But you're a guest on this show, and you do your own paranormal show. And it's not my channel, but Purple, I'm sure you'll agree. Do you, dude? Please do you. because
No,
Purple gets tired of hearing me talk. She really does.
I get you. And again, I would love to be 100% open with my ideas, my thoughts, and everything that's going on. But I mean, this is public. And listen, I'm not one to not say I need to do a little bit more research on a lot
Fair
of this
enough.
stuff.
Fair
But
enough.
I really just don't want to get into where I wanted to go with things, where things from YouTube even were taken down.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got somebody in office. Let me just say this: somebody in office who many videos were taken down so that a point wasn't proven, and that's all I'm saying. And I'd say that's probably in the last, I don't know how many years, is one of the things that's got me so upset. It has nothing to do with what's going on, UFOs or anything like that, but it just goes to point out how easy it is for social media of any kind to just pull a picture, pull an article, pull something that's been posted. So they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, disinformation and censorship is real, and I think until you really start digging into it, you don't realize how prevalent it actually is. And let me say hello to Spock's Friday night. It's good to see you. Says, I hope it's aliens. At this point, I do too, because the alternative just doesn't bear thinking about.
Yeah.
There was, before I go on, I want to say a huge thank you. We had a super chat come in from TZ Burton. So thank you, TZ. Great to see you.
Gangster, straight up gangster, and not wrong. Not wrong.
Not at
Yeah.
all. So it says
Yeah.
Alien Invasion brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, and interestingly, it's been about 6 months since we started talking again about what Werner von Braun, who was an actual Nazi that was brought over during World War II, and Dino, you know about this, with something where at the end of World War II, the Soviets and us were closing in on Berlin, and they were all racing to get to Berlin, not to get Hitler, but to get his scientists. That's what I'm going to postulate. Now, the United States has something called Operation Paperclip. Look it up, and that's where we were trying to grab all of the Nazi scientists responsible for developing the V2 rocket. Not to mention, they were also doing their own experiments in fission and fusion, including heavy water, because they wanted to build a nuclear bomb, and the United States somehow beat them only by a few months to building what they did with the Manhattan Project. Okay, so all of these scientists, including ones that did horrible things from a eugenic standpoint in experimentation, in those camps, okay, we grabbed them. And the Soviets grabbed theirs too. And that's part of why there was this huge competition. And people, if you haven't really studied history, and I'm not talking down to you, why the space race was so important is the Soviets were kicking our ass, okay? They were the first ones to put a satellite to orbit around the world, and it made everyone lose their minds because we weren't even close to that. And they put up Sputnik. Now, what did Sputnik do? It was a ball that went beep, 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 and circled the planet. But we had never done anything like that before, okay? And that's why this whole thing with the space race was a big deal. But to Werner von Braun, we had shit rockets. Our rockets did nothing but blow up on the launch pads until we grabbed this guy, okay? So Werner von Braun, responsible for developing the Saturn rocket program, which then launched all of our expeditions into space and the moon landings and moon exploration that occurred. Anyway, we landed on the moon in 1969. Werner von Braun died of cancer, sadly, at 1973. Okay, on his deathbed, his research assistant was taking his notes, his biography, his last will and testament, and he predicted what was going to happen with the remainder of the 20th century. He said the first step will be a world war. It was World War II. The second step will be a major conflict involving the United States and Western powers with people in the Middle East. And he used some very interesting language that I agree with, but I can't say on YouTube. Okay, and so refer to 9/11. And he said the last thing that was going to happen was nuclear weapons and warfare would occur in space, but that it really wasn't going to happen, and it was only for one purpose. Each one of these steps, World War II, was to create a global government. Well, what did we get out of World War II? The United Nations.
The UN, yep.
After 9/11, what did we get? It's a really good question. All I know is a whole bunch of money got transferred to that same military industrial complex. It's a true story. Now we're sitting here and we're watching this stuff. And I think we're all waiting for the fake UFO invasion, which is actually something, look it up, called Project Bluebeam.
Yep, the chat is talking about it at the now.
Thing. It's a real thing. Okay. This is not being crazy. It's crazy to pretend these things aren't happening. Okay, it's all right. I need to stop now.
Listen, you can have Operation Bluebeam, government stamps, everything sitting in front of somebody, and they'll still look at it and go, "What's in the head? What are you talking about?"
I remember telling people, you know what? I work in healthcare. In this cotton T-shirt you're wearing over your mouth with your little flowers, or the knit one that you have, when you're screaming at me in the grocery store because I'm not wearing the slave mask. It doesn't do anything. I don't care. They wouldn't lie to me. And it's like, now here we are. How many studies have we had?
Self-delusion, yes.
Yeah.
Again, not because I'm an asshole, not because I'm a problem, but because I simply know what the science actually is. Not the science from, MSNBC, CNN, that little demonic dwarf who's a war criminal, and you all know who I'm talking about here in the United States. And then that software mogul who never graduated high school, who says there's too many people on the planet and we all need to eat bugs. I mean, again, like, if you have a more rational explanation for why all this is happening, I'm all ears.
So I hope most people are figuring that out. But anyways, going off that topic again, I think there's something actually wired in our brain that makes us not believe. I've always said this for many, many years. If it doesn't happen to you personally, if you don't personally see that UFO in the sky, and you definitely know it's UFO, you've seen a little alien in the window as it was going by. If you don't see that, if you didn't see a ghost just walk from one room to the other, if you don't see these things for yourself, the other person can talk till they're blue in the face. They're not going to believe you. They're just going to say, interesting, okay, and move on. And even when it happens to you, the longer time goes by, you start to doubt it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And why is that? I think there's something there in the makeup of our... Anyways, yeah, my thoughts.
No, but you're not wrong, dude. You're absolutely not wrong. I mean... What we all learned a lot about ourselves for 2 weeks to slow the spread that turned into how many years?
Right.
I learned a lot about people in my small town. I learned about little small independent shop owners that I supported when it was takeout only, and then wouldn't let me into their restaurant or their bar without my vax passport.
Same. And you know what I did? I never went back.
I never went back, and I was in handcuffs multiple times. Never charged, but detained because I was like, no. Now, I'm not a hero for doing that, but I'm just old enough to be pissed off to not buy into this shit. Okay? You're going to delete me anyway. I get it. I know that. I'm the wrong gender. I'm the wrong sexuality. I possess critical thinking. Look at the color of my skin. Look at my age. I am a liability to everything that these people want to do. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It's what they've said. You know what my guilt is? I've paid taxes for the last 40-something years. I've been a patriotic American. I have Judeo-Christian values. I like chicks. I'm responsible. I don't do... I'm not on psychotropics. I'm the problem, apparently. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I saw Spock's message when you put it up there. Listen, I don't believe that other races of beings are shooting across the galaxy in ships in that way, like watch the asteroid belts. I don't believe that. I believe that they're getting here through other ways, wormholes, interdimensional, or you guys know where I'm going with all that.
Yes.
Oh, I know where you're going. Good old CERN.
Transdimensional, yes.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where the Hadron Collider was like a little model. They're now building 3 more of these damn things, and they're incrementally orders of magnitude larger and cost trillions of dollars. Look it up, what they've got planned for the next 30 years of hadron colliders. Why?
Think if CERN eventually has the ability to open a portal to get us from here to the other side of the solar system. It is possible.
Honestly, I'm not convinced that once they turned that dumb thing on back in 2016, that they didn't do something that shifted us sideways into an alternate dimension, because things have not been the same since it was turned on.
I mean, well, the other thing is Hillary lost her shit because all the cheating she did to try and win didn't work. And,
there was that as well. And
that could have also tore a hole in the time-space continuum, because she's crazy on a demonic level. And that's not even ideological. That is factual. Right?
There was something else that I wanted to cover, since you guys were talking about China and also Taiwan. So I wanted to share this in regards to the balloons, because this came out not long ago. And I think this is kind of important as well, and a lot of people forget. So Taiwan revealed also that Chinese military balloons fly very frequently into its airspace. The country has observed dozens of surveillance aircraft collecting data in preparation for possible invasion. I think that's something that is in the back of a lot of people's minds, but again, it's something that isn't being talked about. And again, that's not conspiracy theory. That's just what we're being told is on the cards.
And I think that's an easy way out too. I mean, because it is so common. I mean, they are right. The article is right in its context. You know, these balloons fly everywhere, and wind blows them out and over other countries' territory. And you know, it's an easy. That's all it is. You know, so.
It absolutely is. And just to pick up a couple of things that the chat is saying, you guys are on fire today. Rangard said theologians believe that UFOs and alien sightings are just encounters with fallen angels and demons, strictly extra-dimensional in nature.
That's a fascinating show, and Dina, I would love to talk about that with you.
I was going to say that's
in the Nephilim. Let's talk about that, dude, because that is a good rabbit hole, especially since they found. I was sharing this with Purple Valkyrie, and it was going to be on another show, but they have found more bones that they finally have done carbon dating on from Peru, which match the giants that were found in the Mississippi Valley with the red hair from the mound culture that in a lot of ways seem to come from the same time period as this, with the Nephilim and all that other stuff. So there's a lot of really crazy stuff out there. And here's the thing. This is the real question is, what do all these elites know? Because they found something out. I think they found something out when they turned that damn CERN Hadron Collider on. I think, Purple, I think you're right. And I think whatever it is so enticing and is so important that they need to get rid of a whole hell of a lot of people for some reason, for something to happen. I don't know what the hell that is. But I mean, again, if you have a better theory, I want to listen to it. These things don't make sense. It's hard to really understand true evil. Okay? Like true evil. And I don't know what's more evil than forcing people to inject things into their body which destroy their DNA and cause small children to die suddenly. Okay? I don't know about evil which burns down hundreds of food processing plants in a year and has the mainstream media not report on it. Okay? Like these are things that we cannot talk about on YouTube, but they affect us every single day. And the reason why we can't talk about them is because probably they're the disinformation that they don't want us to talk about, which is actually code for what is really happening. And it's going to get a lot worse. It is, and it's not being negative. Just be prepared for these outcomes. They have spent billions and billions of dollars using mainstream media, using entertainment to demoralize us, to convince us of things that aren't true. And a lot of us woke up early or are waking up now and going, bullshit, I am out. Well, they're panicking, okay? Because no matter what they threw at this, we were smarter than them and we didn't believe it. No, not everybody. But we're now in the place where these people literally have to silence anyone who is saying anything that is contrary to a narrative. You know what that's called? That's called protecting a lie. And we're entering into a new phase of it now. Now, how these balloons figure into this, I don't know. How does all of this figure into it? I don't know. All I know is with the World Economic Forum, what Billy G has said to us, what all of these people have talked about. Okay. I don't know where it's all going, but I can predict trajectories. And I don't know. Do you think I'm crazy, Dino, or what do you think about that? I kind of went off on a tangent there. I'm sorry.
No, well, listen, you got strong opinions, and I agree with most of them. So listen, you're very, very, yes, I got you. But listen, I do agree that we are headed into a different direction after the past 3 years. Something's going on right now, and we won't know for a while what really is happening. So, I mean, that's where we're stuck at right now. Let's after a week from now, things might start fitting in a little bit better, but at the moment, there's just too many maybes out there. You know? So.
And we've talked about this as well, the whole idea of a polycrisis, that we are just jumping from one thing to the next. There is no time for us as a civilization to breathe. We have gone from the coof to war,
it's a psychological
to possible alien invasion, and it's relentless, and it's on top of everything else that people are having to deal with in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, between keeping your lights on or affording food, and then what food do you buy, and how do you get healthy food for your children? These are valid concerns. Now, again, did all these things just happen by accident, and we're just stringing together conspiracy theories? I don't think so, because I got enough things to deal with.
Listen, Salty. I just went out to eat at a restaurant. Okay. The one where they bring nice food and they'll give you straws for your drinks. He went down on a list and said, well, these aren't there's a lot of things that have changed, and a lot of things aren't available because we can't get them from producers and stuff like that. He said, you have to ask me now. He told me this, for a straw if you want one, because there's just not enough straws out there. So
I hoard them. I actually hoard plastic straws. I've probably got 500 of them, and I don't even use them. I'm just like, fuck you, I want straws.
In case one day they're obsolete. But my point being, why? What's changed that we can't make enough straws to have them in restaurants? They take us one penny to make. I don't get it. It's the world.
But straws are bad for the environment, they tell us, whilst dumping toxic waste into the ocean.
Yeah, but blowing up train cars full of raw PVC and shooting them into the stratosphere so it could be carried by the airstream over to major population centers on the East Coast. That's okay.
Godzilla might actually have it right. Instead of bottle caps, it's plastic straws will be a currency in the new world.
I do have an update. They moved the Pentagon briefing to 15 minutes supposedly from now. How much you want to bet they delay it again? They're still droning on and on and on about Super Bowl security and see something, say something, and all this other bullshit.
Well, I've got a update of something that I didn't even know was happening. Apparently, we've just said, so the ESA has discovered a small meteorite that will, in quotation, safely impact Earth's atmosphere tonight over northern France.
What?
Wait, do you have that link? So the European Space Agency is the ESA. Hopefully they're not as woke and just full of diversity, equity, and inclusion seminars, so they can actually use the effing telescopes, unlike NASA. So ESA has discovered a small meteorite.
That will safely.
Now that's what I call getting a jump start on the news that's happening right now. So, and
she's Purple's amazing. Yeah, wow. Yeah,
just a great, example of how they can switch the narrative so quickly.
Maybe France may shoot something down from the skies and within the next couple of days.
Yes.
See, the problem with meteorites is it's not necessarily the size. Now, that's a big deal if you have enough mass. It is the speed, the angle of entry, and the density of what that meteorite is made of. What I find troubling is that they have mass spectrometry, I can say that word. They can identify what the core of this is. Is it nickel? Is it iron? Is it just a chunk of basically space slush and rocks and God knows what else? If it's iron, it's coming in steep. It's coming in really hot. It could cause a lot of problems. could cause a lot of problems.
Yes, this isn't going to break up in the atmosphere if it's iron. It's going to impact.
Daniel, trust me, you'll thank me later during the zombie apocalypse, okay? I mean, we all see this, right? I mean, we're going to be having parallel economies. This is what they want. They want to chip us all in, your Chinese, social credit, good little slave code stuff, right? The QRT code. So, yeah, parallel economies. In my opinion, buy physical silver, have skills, and then also have raw materials, nails, be able to do something. Being an activist isn't something, be able to fix things, be able to, maintain engines, grow food, do canning, have a skill, have something where you can barter with your neighbors. That's one of the most important things you can do. And if all you do today is order a book and then read that book and need motivation, reach out to me on social media, because I've tried to learn as many things as I can. And I don't feel like I know enough, but I know how to can, I know how to garden, I know how to reload, I know how to do carpentry. Am I good at any of those things? I don't know. But if all of us together have skills, okay, we can trade what our ability to make things are. You can buy bullets, beans, band-aids, the whole prepper type of thing, right? It's important, but at a certain point, we're going to need to be able to do things on the side and be able to trade things out. This is going to sound crazy, but I don't know how much jam and jelly is where you are. But here where I am, the price of jam and jelly has about doubled. So a jar of strawberry jelly, okay, like small one, organic, is $8 okay? $8. The crappy Welch's with like corn syrup and God knows, hormone changing crazy GMO shit in it. Like that thing for a size of it that's $5. And it's like, I have canning jars. I can go get organic fruit. I have pectin and some sugar. And there you go. You can make a dozen of these half pints of jelly and you can trade it with other people for other things because their kids are going to want jam. And you know what? They may have something that you want. Maybe they have a book. Maybe they have a garden that they grow. This is what our grandparents did. Okay. This is what people did during the Great Depression, And, I mean, do I want to live in this crazy world? No, but this is the world. And am I crazy for thinking like this? Maybe.
Can I leave you with one more topic and then I have to go?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, dude, totally, man.
Yeah, I gotta go. So but this whole ongoing thing yet to be determined. You guys shoot me a link or talk to me anytime you want. If I'm able to come on, gladly I will do it. But let me just throw one other topic since we're going all over the place here. I mean,
yeah, man, hit it.
Let me ask you a question and then I'll leave and you can do what you want with it. I know where I'm at, and I know this is all over the world, or at least in the US where we know. The workforce, okay, since 2020, okay, it went away. The people went away. Where have they gone? I'm just wondering. We've got McDonald's, Burger King, all of the restaurants hiring 14-year-old kids and still can't get enough people to work that store. What happened to all the 20-year-olds and paying them good money at $15 an hour for a kid?
It's 17 here. It's 17 here.
Okay, and what I'm asking you is, where are the people? Where is the population? You're not crazy. Understand what I'm talking about?
I do, because this is exactly what Purple, we've talked about this. And it started around March of 2020, where did all the people go? Where did everybody go? Yeah. So you're not crazy, Dino.
No, you can throw out numbers. The population is this, that. I see people in stores. I see people on the streets. Listen, where has the population gone? Where have the people gone? Anyways, I'm going to leave you with that crazy idea, and I will see you. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you, Dino. This was awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate having you. Guys, if you are not subscribed to Dino, I will put his link below. Please check him out. He has an incredible channel.
Yes, the Late Horror Show plays some of my favorite things to have on in the background while I do a million things, especially driving around.
There you go.
You're an awesome dude, Dino. Peace, brother.
Have a great night. Take care, honey.
Bye.
But yeah, that is a fantastic question. You're absolutely right. We see it over here. Where are I know it's horrible to call it, but the unskilled labor force? doing. It used to be teenagers doing these jobs, and now you're seeing people
Yeah.
in their 30s and 40s doing them. But
It's
where are
different
the
here.
yeah.
It's retirees. Where I
Mm.
am here, it's basically people that are in their 60s or 70s that are working at Walgreens, that are working at McDonald's. Okay. I have a friend who owns an independent business. She was one of the people that essentially created a speakeasy when we weren't, nothing was supposed to be open. And I'm not going to tell anything because Jay Ainsley is an asshole and might come after her. But we used to go out and eat out anyway. She didn't turn the lights on in the restaurant. We kind of sat there and she blacked out the windows and we ate by candlelight and didn't put anything on credit card. It was cash only because God helps those who help themselves. And you know what? She made a really good steak and I really liked her drinks. So, you know, and the other thing you got to do is you got to do with one thing they didn't want us to do when it was 2 weeks to slow the spread. And that was other human interaction, to share what you were thinking and feeling about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like I'm no hero or whatever, but I rebelled as much as I could without ending up in custody. You know what I mean?
And we've talked about it a few times on various shows that we've done, and humans aren't meant to be isolated.
No.
That's when weird things start to happen with your body, with your mind. We are social creatures. That's why a lot of people turn to social media. But since they turn to social media, it doesn't seem like they've been able to wean themselves off it, unfortunately.
Yeah, to get back to what Dina was talking about, what I'm seeing here, there's labor shortages everywhere. There are numerous coffee shops, restaurants that will put up a sign. They're like, we can't open today because we don't have anybody to work. You know, and this is a small little town on the edge of the world. In Seattle, I don't know what's going on, but I saw that too. The last time I was in Seattle, I took the ferry over. It was a sandwich place and it had a sign, we have to close because we have no one to work, you know?
It's insane. It really is. And these are good paying jobs. Was it $15, $17 an hour?
I started working when I was 12, okay? Like in family stuff. And I'm talking working your ass off and hauling things and like danger things now that, you know, be child endangerment. They're like, walk it off, you know, build character. And if I had kids, I'd do the same damn thing right now. I really would. Because the world needs more warriors and less activists. We'll just say that. But I got my first paying job. I think it was at 14 and I was making, it was $3.29 an hour because you could get farm wages at that time and you could only work a certain amount of hours where I was. But $3.29 an hour. And then you took 30% off for taxes. So you could only work like 16, 20 hours a week or whatever it was. So let me tell you, busting your ass for 20 hours to make $3.29 and you get like a paycheck of nothing. You get nothing, all right? But you were proud and you got to go out and you got to buy a record or you got to go out and go to Pizza Hut by yourself or whatever it was. You learned to be independent, you know?
It was that sense of accomplishment. And even the chat chiming in and agreeing, Daniel says his first paying job was at 14, Geek Flag 12, working construction with his dad. I think the first job I had was I was 15 whilst I was at school and did it part-time.
Oh, yeah.
Kayla's there. Hello, sweetheart. She said $2.20 was her first job.
Yeah. I used to go work with my dad. He did a lot of technical stuff. We'll just say that with electronics and other things like that. So I grew up around there and I'm pulling cables that's high voltage and climbing towers that are 50 feet high without a safety thing. It's just, this is what you did. This is what you did in the 80s. It's called natural selection. You know what I mean? And now we've got kids who don't misgender me. I'm a deer person and my name is Zir Zur. And I've chopped off my parts and sewn other parts on. And if you don't think I'm the thing that I'm pretending to be, then you're a bigot. Yeah.
This is where we've got to. There was one more thing that I wanted to cover and share, if that's all right, Salty. If you're okay for time, let me bring it up because this is something that I came across and we didn't cover it because nobody was talking about it, even here in the UK. So this actually happened back in November, but it was covered on the 4th of February. So a RAF jet in a near miss with UFO over Newcastle airspace. Now, I don't think this ties in necessarily with what's happening with the balloons and the other various objects, so we say, that are appearing and being shot down. But I did find it interesting that something is not quite right. It was described as being a drone, but I'll just give you a brief rundown of the incident. So this happened on November 16th. Crew of RAF Atlas aircraft were doing manoeuvres. They were flying over Curragh Hill, which is towards Newcastle, and they had a very, very near miss with this object. Now, this thing wasn't particularly large. It was about 3 or 4 feet across, but it was described as being donut-shaped. They've since said that maybe it was a drone, but this thing was flying or was so high up, there's no way that anybody could have actually been controlling it. So they're not entirely sure what it was, but they missed it by just a couple of feet. It nearly hit the wing of the plane as they were maneuvering.
Yeah, and that has to be a pretty decent altitude. You know, most commercial drones don't have that kind of reception. You know, not that I'm a drone expert or play one on TV. I do have an update on the Pentagon briefing.
Okay,
you're going to be shocked. It appears to be delayed again. And you know what I think it is I think they're all busy putting their clown makeup on, in the big nose, in the big Bozo the Clown wig and the clown shoes, to come out and be clowns. That's what I'm predicting is going to be here. Is this nuts or what? Okay, like, what are they doing? Oh God. I want to say things. I want to say things about the representation within this administration. Just want to say that. I hope they send out the LGBTQ plus BIPOC amputee differently abled representative, because that would be equity to communicate with us. And yeah, do I sound like an asshole for that? Not really, because that's what they're doing. Okay, like, it's kind of getting dumb and old. Can I just get somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to tell me something that is marginally the truth? Can we just have that just a little bit, please?
No, we're going to jump from crisis to crisis, and you're going to like it, and you're going to accept it, because that's what we keep being told. I just hope they come out making balloon animals. I think that would be pretty funny. Let's see what else you guys are saying, because you guys are absolutely killing it in the chat today. Psychodor says multiple agencies desperately trying to get their lies straight. Well, we were talking about that earlier, and we've covered it yesterday as well. There's so many of these threads, we don't know where to go, and even Salty and myself trying to figure out what was going on, we ended up kind of going around in circles with misinformation and disinformation.
I have multiple links from what started this morning that were tracking that balloon from Montana and where it was going, because I was concerned this was just going to disappear and they were going to pretend it didn't happen. And then surprise, we get this news release that they blew something up over Lake Huron. As we've mentioned, we were supposed to have gotten a Pentagon briefing 2 hours ago. They delayed it. We're supposed to go now. I'm checking right now.
And Dempsey is absolutely right. He says if it's a UFO, they'll lie about it. If it's not a UFO, they'll lie about it. Oh my gosh, you guys are absolutely correct. Geek Flag says consumer products don't ask a question, just consume more product. That's
true.
Exactly what they want. Yeah, don't ask questions. Don't think for yourself.
I know this isn't the show, but does anybody give one shit about what the MCU Phase 5 is? It's like, can we just... So I cannot bring myself to talk about this shit anymore, because like I can't. I can't. Ant-Man and Wasp. I was going to do a video on this. Ant-Man and Wasp is tracking so badly. Do you know what they're doing? Disney's buying tickets to give to retailers. So if you buy things, guess who Disney is partnering with to give free seats to Ant-Man and Wasp? IHOP. Yes, the restaurant. The International House of Pancakes. If you go and buy $30 worth of International House of Pancakes food, you will get 2 seats, 2 tickets to Ant-Man and Wasp.
Wow.
Then we have the Marvels coming out. It don't even, it's just like, I don't care. And then Aquaman 2, that's about climate change. This is like, God, dude, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? I'm done. James Gunn, done. Whatever. Kiss my ass. You know what I mean? I'm going to go read books. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to paint models. Sorry, had to get that out of my system. So, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, people do not care. I didn't care for Phase 4. I certainly don't care about Phase 5. Daniel says, whoops, the MCU is so dead. Even my normie friends are saying MCU is meh. But after 10 years and a steady decline in the quality of what we're getting, it's kind of understandable. What have we got here, Salty?
So we're still waiting on the Pentagon. The last that I heard is there's a general who's supposed to come out and tell us what's going on. This is a replay of what we've covered. The Chinese spycraft shot down. This is the object that was shot down by the Canadian Air Force on Saturday. This was the one, this location shot down on Friday. This was the radar anomaly that was detected on Saturday that they said it was too dark to shoot down, which then drifted across the missile fields here in North Dakota over the extremely low frequency attack sub antenna here in northern Minnesota, across the great state of Wisconsin in the Northwoods there to end up in Lake Michigan, where then they scrambled fighters from Madison, as well as in Marionette, which is a big naval yard. A lot of shipbuilding occurs in Marionette up in northern Wisconsin. And then it floated across Michigan, which I'm sure was perfectly fine. And then somebody decided to blow it up over Lake Huron. We're still waiting on that briefing. There has been no word yet. So
none of these that they've taken out other than the initial have we seen. I mean, we've had speculation and they've described them, but I think at this point, unless we start seeing pictures, people are going to start turning away.
Yeah. I don't know, Purple. I'm not going to wait on this damn Pentagon briefing anymore. We've gone as long as you wanted to go. I think has ever. It's not easy to do this stuff in real time. And I am very honored to get to work with you and honored to get work with Dino and other creators where you are able to roll with things and you're doing research and I'm doing research. And what we try and do is to bring you good data, not just pull things out of our ass, not just read off an article. We're trying to cover something here and then not tell you what to think, but to get you to tell us what you think. So again, thank you again for the second show like this in 2 days. You're awesome.
Okay. Yes. And guys, what I will do is I will link last night's show. Please check it out. We had a fantastic show and it was so fast paced because there was so much for us to cover. It was just breaking news after breaking news for an hour and a half. But I wanted to say a huge thank you to not only Salty for always being on the ball, but thank you to Vanguard as well. He says, to think that I subscribed to Salty C for his great rants on the god-awful Wheel of Time show. Now I found Purple Valkyrie and the fact that he is a great critical thinker. Well, there you go.
Thank you. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to get better. And every day that is my job, as I just want to get better at doing this. And Purple Valkyrie has been an inspiration. Steve, Zach's, OBG70, everybody that I get to work with. I'm very lucky to call these people friends. So, hail.
We do have a great group of people that we get to work with. And says, need Purple's camera on. Well, going forward, I did put a message out on the channel dashboard. We will be sticking to Wednesdays and Sundays from now on. I think that's a pretty good kind of spread for shows, and we will definitely be going back to doing woo-woo on Wednesdays because that's what we love, and no doubt we will be covering this topic more. Let me just say a huge thank you to Spock's Friday Night. Great to see you. Says, live long and prosper. You too, my friend. It's always good to see you. And Daniel said, Salty is a nucleus of cool people.
I make great drinks. That's the secret. Make great drinks, tell good dirty jokes.
True story.
It's the best way to do.
Before we wrap up and let people get on with their Sunday and maybe not go watch the Super Bowl, is there anything that you'd like to let us know about? I know you just had a video released.
Hold on, I'm getting some feedback from the Pentagon. Hold on.
Oh, okay. We might have some more breaking news.
Hold on. Okay, we got General Van Herk. Hold on. Stand by. Assistant Secretary of State is going to be on the line. I'll present this. We will probably need to make it transformative. I will go ahead and run that, but this is live from the Pentagon briefing. Here we go.
Okay, lovely. I'll bring this in.
This press conference here on Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. We want to give you an update from the Pentagon on this fourth object being shot down on this Sunday.
Yeah, so we're going to have to wait. I'm going to dump this out. They were apparently doing an audio check for the general, but
right.
I'll keep an eye on that. But I'm sorry, what were you saying, Purple?
Oh, I was just saying a big thank you to the chat. You guys are awesome. But the things like this, because it is a fast-moving story, we're trying to give you as much information as we can without being too speculative or too kind of out there. It's a lot of fun to do. Let me say hello to Jim Cox. Good to see you. Says maybe when Biden is mumbling, he's actually talking in their language. Could very well be.
You got it.
Nick, thank you for the follow on Twitter. Much appreciated. We got it. All right. Here we go. Dempsey says, thank you for your service. Well, thank you guys. You guys are as much a part of this as we are. Love getting to talk about woo-woo with you, and especially anything that is breaking.
Answer any questions
Here we
you
go.
have in order to provide any additional context on NORAD's efforts to monitor, track, and appropriately
So I'm going to pull the audio up, but try and read the.
address these.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Context is just so we've got an assistant secretary of something or other. Yeah, assistant secretary of state for Homeland Defense, Hemispheric Affairs, Melissa Dalton. Well, there we go. It's nice to see women in STEM. Yeah. This is kind of grab-assing. Let's see. Dalton will provide some brief comments, followed by General Van Herk, and then we'll take questions overdue. Secretary Dalton, thanks so much. So that's what we're getting.
Pre-screened questions, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Operations, and so we wanted to provide an update on the most recent Homeland Defense operations that occurred this afternoon. I'm going to provide a brief overview and then turn to General Van Herk to provide an operational perspective as well. In light of the People's Republic of China balloon that we took down last Saturday, we have been more closely scrutinizing our airspace at these altitudes.
Do you think, now that it's floated all the way across the country, do you think you need to scrutinize what the Chinese are doing?
Including enhancing our radar, which may at least partly explain.
Well, apparently our radar doesn't work at night. We learned that about Montana, right?
It's just they have to turn it off.
In objects that we've detected over the past week. We also know that a range of entities, including countries, companies, research organizations, operate objects at these altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious, including legitimate research. That said, because we have not yet been able to definitively assess what these recent objects are, we have acted out of an abundance of caution to protect our security and interests.
It took them long enough. So it's fine for what is clearly a very big balloon that is probably has nefarious intent to fly across several states for several days before it's taken out. But these ones, it's a knee-jerk reaction, and they're going to take them out immediately, except for when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And from the PRC was, of course, different in that we knew precisely what it was.
Okay, so they knew precisely what it was. Then why did you let it fly across the country? Question.
These most recent objects do not pose a kinetic military threat, but they're passed in proximity to sensitive DoD sites, and the altitude that they were flying could be a hazard to civilian.
So
we may have said something about that last night. We may have said something about this on this show.
Aviation and thus raised concerns. Again, as we have said, we do not assess that the recent objects pose any direct threat to people on the ground, and we are laser focused on confirming their nature and purpose, including through intensive efforts to collect debris in the remote locations where they have landed after being shot down.
Question.
I don't think it's classed as landed if they shoot them down.
Question.
Yes.
If it's nothing to worry about, why did you shoot it out of the air and burn all that jet fuel and put all those tankers in the sky? Just legitimate question.
Why did you shut down
we are
50 square miles in Montana?
Close coordination and cooperation with the government of Canada, as well as through NORAD with the Canadian military. Thanks very much. Look forward to your questions, and I'll hand it over to General Van Herk.
How did you get your job? That's my question.
Thanks, Secretary Dalton.
Here we go.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today and provide you an update. Every day, North American Aerospace Defense Command and the United States Northern Command monitor the approaches to North America and the.
Yeah, nobody really cares. They're treating this like it was like somebody stole a speedboat and it was a couple of teenagers. You know?
Yes.
In Canadian airspace, approximately 70 or so miles north of the United States border. We began tracking that radar contact, and when it became clear it was unknown, following normal NORAD procedures, it was not talking to the Federal Aviation Administration, no squawk, and approaching our air defense identification zone. I scrambled F-15 fighters from Portland, Oregon,
Boom,
along with
there you go.
KC-135 tanker support from Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington.
Yep,
To
confirmed.
investigate, to identify what the radar contact was.
We reported on all this.
1800 Eastern or 6 p.m. Eastern, the radar track crossed into the United States sovereign airspace. At 7:04 Eastern time, the F-15s with their tanker support were on station to investigate. We continued to investigate, and what's important to point out, this is near dark.
Yes.
Within a half
We
hour,
pointed out
45
how
minutes
important it
of
was that
dark.
the tankers have been.
We continued to investigate, to identify, locate the object. We were unsuccessful. It's also important to point out in this part of the United States, we did not have data link for queuing like we had had before. Data link allows the radars on the ground to share information to the fighters airborne, allowing them to cue their sensors and their visual acuity in an attempt to visually identify the trap.
So what have we just learned?
So
that
why
we have a
didn't they have it?
huge vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And we are incredibly dependent on all of our computery, internety, software-y stuff. And if that software-y stuff isn't there, we're not going to shut your shit down. Now, if I can figure that out, I'm a moron with action figures behind me. If I can figure that, I can guarantee you people in China are like, holy shit, why didn't we take these guys a long time ago? You know what I mean?
But they're asking for their bloom back, Salty.
Yeah. Let me wipe my ass with it and I'll send it via FedEx.
At sunset, we were unable to find the track. Also, our radar operators lost the track on radar, and the FAA was never tracking the radar. Therefore, that's why we...
You kind of think that would have been something that they wanted to get on, you know? Or am I being silly?
You're just a racist and you have internalized misogyny.
We called it an anomaly because we weren't able to identify it. Several hours later, overnight, we began seeing an intermittent radar contact east of the position in Montana.
So blow it up.
As it approached Wisconsin.
I told you.
At that point...
Okay, there's a problem there. So they were talking about Montana, but then they skipped a couple other states because that's a hell of a drive. I've done that drive from Montana to Wisconsin. There's a lot of North Dakota or South Dakota to drive. Of those of you who've been through that part of the country, even doing 80 miles an hour, it is a long damn time to drive. Again, why did the general omit the fact that it flew over our military bases in North Dakota? Why did this general omit the fact that the extremely low frequency antennas that we have, again, for our nuclear submarine force in northern Michigan, why did he skip from Montana to Wisconsin? Very curious about that.
Yes. What are they not telling us at this point? That's what we need to be asking.
We developed a game plan once we started seeing another radar contact to go investigate. It's likely, but we have not confirmed that the track that we saw in Wisconsin was likely the same track in Montana.
Okay, so you got something else you don't know what, potentially what they're saying is we could have two things we don't know what the hell they are because it's too far in the woods on our border where we apparently don't have the ability to use all of this fancy technology that we've trained our aviators to be reliant on. That to me is troubling.
Yes, Spock points out, not to mention it flew over these states in one day because we heard a Montana situation late last night. That thing is moving. Yes.
Yeah. Now, this time of year, I don't know what the weather's like in Wisconsin and Minnesota, depending on if there's the polar vortex and all this other bullshit. We just call it weather and winter in the 70s and 80s and 90s. But depending on what those wind speeds are, they could be cruising pretty well, depending also on the altitude of what this was. But what we know we can infer, let's say that, we can infer that because this was at the same altitude that a commercial jetliner would fly, which is between 30 and 40 something thousand feet of altitude, that whatever the airspeed was for that, that's how it would have been traveling, you know? So there it is. All right, let's wrap this thing up. I got to listen to this nonsense.
Elected to scramble with the best position to intercept if we needed to engage with the lowest collateral damage. And that was in the eastern portion of Wisconsin, just prior to Lake Michigan. But the fighters became
why didn't you blow it up?
The track of interest at that time.
Yeah, there's nothing up there.
We monitored the track of interest as it passed over Lake Michigan.
Why did they do that? Because honestly, up there in the upper peninsula of Wisconsin, now, why is Marionette, Wisconsin, look at a map, Marionette, Wisconsin, major shipyard. Major work is done on naval surface warfare vessels, Coast Guard things, other stuff like that. They build the boats there, sail them out, and there are people who probably were yard rats or worked in the USN. Sail them to the Great Lakes, bring them out. Sometimes they go to New Hampshire for other fitting, or they go to sub bases in Connecticut, or they go down to Virginia Beach, and then they get outfitted with all the fancy stuff. But a lot of the nuts and bolts stuff is done in the shipyards up there in Marionette. So this was a profound security issue, okay? But they didn't shoot it down. There is nobody up in northeastern Wisconsin. They call it the Northwoods for a reason. There are deer and bear and wolves there. That's about it. There's a couple people hunting camps, but nobody's hunting this time of year. Why didn't they blow this damn thing down in Wisconsin?
We assessed that it was no threat, physical threat, military threat, legal infrastructure. That's my assessment. It continues to be today. However, at this point, we still have an unknown, and it forces a broader discussion about what is this object within our U.S. sovereign space. It's within our Federal Aviation Administration.
You've already let it float over all of our missile silos in Montana, all of the missile silos in North Dakota, the Air Force bases we have in North Dakota, again, the ELF, Extremely Low Frequency Attack Subintendent, in northern Michigan, the stuff going on in Wisconsin, and then it's like, oh, well, I guess maybe we should do something about it.
It's a head scratcher.
Administration airspace, not providing any communications, not providing any notice that could potentially help us deconflict. And therefore we wanted to investigate further. We did. It tracked across the upper peninsula of Michigan.
Youpers, eh?
We were cleared to engage the target in eastern upper peninsula of Michigan, overland, and ultimately down the object at this point, about 15 nautical miles east of the upper peninsula in Lake Huron.
Okay.
So when are we going to see pictures of this thing?
Began drifting. Potentially, most likely landed in Canadian waters in Lake Huron. And we have ongoing recovery operations with Coast Guard assets moving towards this area. I would like to highlight this entire time. I remained in contact with my Canadian boss, General Wayne Air. The Canadians were very supportive. The Canadians launched 2 F-18s plus their tanker as well.
And offered to send poutine as well as Moosehead to everybody involved. Okay, I think this is about as much as we need. So I'm going to allow people to form their own opinions about this. You can guess by my heartfelt reactions what I think about this, but I find that this is more troubling than anything else. You know, we hear a lot of DOD PR speak, and that's fine. The fact is you were scrambling attack fighters with Stratus. You were staying on station with refueling flights.
Yeah.
You allowed this thing to drift and then suddenly decided to blow it up again over water. Even though you said it wasn't a threat, you could have blew it up over northeastern Wisconsin or the Upper Peninsula. Again, if you've been to those places. It is cold AF up there right now, but it is land. To blow this thing up over the Great Lakes is problematic. Now, Lake Superior is one of the deepest places on the planet that you can go for fresh water. I don't know about Lake Huron, but these lakes are ancient glacial lakes, and they are no joke. The storms and the weather that you get on these lakes in the wintertime, if you've ever heard the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, it's no joke out there. It's not. Lake Michigan in the wintertime can be a hell of a thing. It can have a lot of ice flow. I don't know what it all means. It's just, again, I have more questions than answers.
Something's not adding up. And if they're saying that this thing's drifted, presumably it is towards this body of land here. I was watching it live, and they circled this lake for probably an hour and 45 minutes.
I don't think we're being told accurate.
No.
I don't think we're being told accurate locations, because Purple did have the flight stuff, and it was circling. It had passed over Michigan. It was no longer off of Green Bay. Now that arm, they call it the thumb that sticks out of Wisconsin, right? It's like this. Wisconsin, I got to do this the right way. It looks like this. So right here's Green Bay. That's where the Packers play. And then up here, this is called Door County. So over here in the eastern part, there's nothing. There's bears and woods and deer. It's about it. You got Marionette, which is where where all the shipbuilding stuff is, but after that there ain't jack shit. There's nothing. It's cold, it's really cold, and that's about it. Why they didn't take it down on the land, I don't know. Why they decided to drop it in February in the Great Lakes in winter, knowing the weather conditions, that I don't understand. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me. Yeah, Daniel used to go to Door County to vacation and pick cherries. Hell yeah, dude. I used to go up there to camp and drink and fish and pick cherries and eat fish fry and see the Packers and stuff like that. But we should probably go, Purple. We're over an hour and a half, and people are probably getting tired of me and you.
Yes.
Well, they're never tired of you. They're tired of me.
Not at all.
Everybody loves somebody sometimes.
Absolutely. Guys, this has been another fantastic show. 2 shows in a row, and I think we did a really good job covering this as well as we could. And I wanted to thank Salty, and I wanted to thank Late Horror Show for joining us today. You guys were absolutely fantastic. We will be doing more woo-woo, so no doubt by the time Wednesday rolls around, we'll have a lot more to cover. If something is breaking news, we'll try and cover it as well as we can, because I think this is something that you've got to keep an eye on. And apparently I missed a member chat. Sorry.
I know. You keep talking. I'm going to go ahead and see where I can find it for you. I'm scrolling. Did you get the one from Spock's Friday night for LLAP?
I did, yeah. Okay, I've got it from Rod Thunderheart. My apologies, honey. They don't show up on the streaming app. But Rod has been with us for 15 months as a berserker. He says, "Hail Purple, hope you're enjoying See Through Love." I am indeed. I'm about 2/3 of the way through of Rod Thunderheart's awesome book. He is one of our talented authors. And
no way.
Really looking forward to talking to him about it.
Okay, you got to share this with me. I had no idea, dude. I'm super stoked about this. That's what we got to do. It's part of creating parallel economies. We have to support each other and give honest, critical feedback on things. There are things I'm working on I'd love to get feedback on, but if you're a creator, would love to talk with you about it and other stuff like that. If you're writing a book or a comic book or you're recording music, we've got Dempsey who puts out albums. We've got people who are immensely, immensely talented. And Dempsey says, yeah, Mackinac Island has really good saltwater taffy and really big mosquitoes. Forgot. Don't misadvertise what it's like up there in the summertime. And you're not wrong about, I can't see who said that Lake Superior gets 30-foot waves in winter. It's true. I've been out there. I've been out there and seen ice flows that, the ice is this thick and it's slamming into the rocks and it's howling wind. So it's no joke. Yeah.
I also missed a member chat from Daniel. My apologies, Daniel. He's been with us for 10 months. Again, one of our berserkers. He says, where is the real XCOM when you need them?
I don't know. Where's Scully? Paging Agent Scully, will you please show up in some lingerie, please? Don't need Mulder. Just Scully. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
A boy can dream.
Oh my gosh, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Not the usual woo-woo show that we do, but I think it really does line up with what we talk about. And again, we don't tell you what to think, but we will always give you as much information as we can and encourage you to form your own opinions on what's going on.
Yeah, interesting comments in chat. We need to talk about all these things, about the murder hornets, about the whole FEMA martial law thing at some point. But Purple, thanks for having me on the show. We have done a lot of woo-woo. I'm going to say goodnight, Gracie. Love everybody in chat. The show would not be the same without you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for watching the video we did last night. Thank you for supporting both of us. Thank you. If you haven't watched the Ohio video that I did today, it's informative, and I think you'd find it really interesting, and I'm pretty sure you will never hear about it in the mainstream media. So good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. Please, again, if you are not subscribed to Salty or to Late Late Horror Show, the links are below. Check them out because they do very good work and they work very hard. So have a fantastic rest of your weekend. We will be back on Wednesday with more woo-woo. But until then, take care and keep your eyes on the skies, I think is the best thing to do.
Do the hustle. Do.